Hi everyone, welcome wonderful people. So I have the brain here, and this is a summary video of the first chapter called Upstairs and Downstairs Brain. Alright, so this is downstairs, the bottom of the brain. This is upstairs. Alright, so upstairs is where we do a lot of thinking. The bottom downstairs brain is where we do a lot of the subconscious reflexive. Alright, but when we have pain, a lot of times we think it too much. But in order to get to upstairs brain, you have to travel through all these centers to go up to upstairs. So if this is not addressed, then it's like, I like to say, it's a cluttered house, an oversensitive house, a high alert house, and you can't get to upstairs because maybe the security system is always being alarmed. And so as I transition you to just an introduction about this book, Upstairs and Downstairs Brain, I want to take the time to just reiterate that pain is a feeling and experience. You can't fix that, right? You can't fix a feeling. You just have to let it just pass through. You can't fix an experience, right? We want to change and control the experience, but we can't. What we could do is help it where you walk up stairs where there's less clutter, and I call it an integrated brain. There's 9 centers in the brain, and if I show you, okay, so what are the 9 centers? And then I'll show you an MRI of one in chronic pain, one in normal pain. And there's a heavy, hopefully this is an aha moment, that when we have pain that keeps reoccurring, there is trauma behind it. So it's called post-traumatic stress disorder. Just like a war veteran that can't control a highly skilled, combat guy, girl, person, and they can't control themselves when, say, if the intensity is intense, a snap of a finger can make them feel the reality turns into this fake reality of being a war again. So it's very reflexive, and they're having a hard time controlling that because, and it's kind of similar because in the PTSD, the chronic pain is the disintegrated brain, and I need to help people to understand. If you're watching this, if you know someone, friend, family, to help them to have integrated brain so they have pain, but they can ride it through. So there's 9 centers in the brain. Here's hopefully another aha moment. There are no pain center in the brain. Okay, so it's not like, oh, this one gets flagged every single time you have pain, right? There's 9 locations in the brain that works together, and there's no one pain center, right? So the 9 pain centers in the brain includes the premotor cortex. And as I list these 9 out, and I tell you the function, if you have a hard time with some of these functions, here's another aha moment. If you have trouble with 1 or 2 or 3 of the purpose, the functionality of these centers, this region, then it can disorganize your ability to integrate itself. So working on one region, right, one center, and then moving on to the next can help you to reorganize and have an integrated pain, brain, whatever you call it. Right? So premotor cortex, the ability to organize and move well. So you have discoordination. If you feel like you're clumsy, then that's its job. Okay? Then you have the Singlet Cortex. Singlet Cortex is right here. So it's the one that kind of connects the left and right brain in the middle. And that was in charge of concentration and focus. Right? Do you guys have any hard time managing that? The next one is your prefrontal cortex. So your frontal lobe here, executive mind here, behind that right here. Right? So that's also important in concentration, problem solving, memory. You have the amygdala. Remember that. Here's aha moment. Amygdala is the fear center, the addiction center, right? And that center can hijack and put all the resource here, so then you can't have the resource go out here. And that's so common, it's validated over and over and over, that there's a fear component, a post-traumatic fear component, all right? And so they hijack, and it's linked to anxiety, again, PTSD, a lot of learning issue. So that's the amygdala right here. Then in here you have the brainstem, hippocampus, hypothalamus and thalamus, and their function include stress response, motivation. Do you have trouble with that? Balance, coordination, cognition, breathing, right? You're always doing that, right? Because this is kind of high intense what I'm doing right now. You know, just kidding. Spatial recognition. Do you have a hard time reading maps? Right? Me. Fear conditioning and memory. So that's the 9 centers of the brain. Let me show you the MRI. Functional brain, you see, it's very colorful. And the chronic pain, it's less colorful. All right? You see how it's disorganized a bit? You can have an MRI that's like this, but if you have a functional brain, guess what? You can live successfully till you're 100 years old and be okay with your spine. And that's what I try to do. That's why there's a lot of psychology and this whole book, when implemented, can get this spine to feel that way. You can have a healthy spine, so your disc is supposed to be white like that, and if it's white, white, white and healthy, but if you have this, guess what? You could be in a lot of pain too. All right, so look at that. PTSD brain and no PTSD. You see how it hijacks and draws everything towards the amygdala and stuff, and the middle part, the downstairs brain. That's why I like to say that in order, accessing this, decluttering this, desensitizing this can allow you to walk upstairs without, you know, I'm a parent, without stepping on, at nighttime, I'm stepping on their toys, their Legos, their sharp toys, and then getting frustrated, you know, but that's a different topic. So downstairs, upstairs brain. So if you find yourself, the racing mind, trying to over-rationalize things, work on this, which read the book and help to control your subconscious, your heart rate, respiratory rate, can make a big difference. So then you can access your memory, your mood better, temperature better, and then your thoughts will be more clear, and then it will be very integrated. All right, so I gave example federal government, state government, city government, to help you understand that. And again, pain down here, pain is a feeling experience designed to protect you. It's like your best friend that keeps that just talk a lot. Sometimes you need someone to talk to, and just a friend you just talk to, but sometimes it can get annoying, so you just want to just have space with that friend, and so that's pain. All right, pain is what keeps you, okay, it's a protective response that's keeping you to have your birthdays. Without that pain response, then you have a higher chance of not reaching next year. Okay, so that's that. Now, side tangent, as a functional medicine, I think it's important to talk about stress response, because when this is dominant, then you go to fear response, stress response. And so when you go to stress response, our hormones plays a huge role. Our gut acts on that. Our whole body acts on that, okay? And then it trickles over to energy depletion, sleep depletion, and all that. So then I talk about the hormones and understanding how that plays a role, and managing stress plays a role, and it reflects this downstairs brain. And lastly, let's see if I can get it in 30 seconds. So when we talk about hormones, cortisol, the stress hormone, it's called glucocortisol, okay? So cortisol is the stress one, but it's also called glucocortisol. So gluco is glucose, right? So you need both. They go hand in hand. So if you're managing stress well, but you're not managing your blood sugar, then you're also gonna deplete your cortisol. Understand? So blood sugar plays a huge role in managing this. So I always use example, if you're a surfer, carefree, yogi, meditative, but you're not managing blood sugar, guess what? Your cortisol is affected too, because they go hand in hand. All right, so that being said, quick summary. I've talked a lot, but we talk about upstairs, downstairs brain, manage downstairs brain, so then you can have a less sensitive alarm, so you can walk upstairs and be clear with your thoughts and integrate everything And then secondly, understanding what triggers you, your stress response, and manage your blood sugar, so then you can have an easier experience to process pain. Whew. See you next chapter.